What's up, guys? Welcome back to my last commentary video on the other side for the new Shadowlands dungeons. The game releases in 2 days, something that's very last minute, but if you have a chance and you watch this, I appreciate it. The first part of the other side is actually just this big inner ring in the dungeon. There's 3 wings that go outside of the ring. You'll see us fight big trash packs on all 4 platforms around it. This first pull, I combined the 2 mobs with the pack at the bottom. There's a couple big things to watch out for. All of these cultists cast nasty things at the current threat target, so just at the tank. There's not a lot of group damage that goes out. The Risen Warlord is basically just a big melee kind of guy. He'll try to charge at your range. I think you can see the animation right now. Big swirly out there. They can just sidestep it and be okay. The little bone soldiers don't do much except melee. The Dark Lotus cast is okay. You can let that one go through. I'll let it go here. It just puts a big pattern on the ground and you have to step out of it. The purple swirlies are Dark Lotus. The Scribe casts are what are hurting me the most here. And other than that, it's just the melees. So they're going to stop casting because of Solar Beam, but if you want to see all those casts, just go back a few seconds in the video and you can see them. These mobs are all around this inner platform. All the trash here is pretty consistent. Lots of magic damage, lots of dodgeable mechanics for the rest of the party. So we're going right in this video. I think with an organized group, you want to go left out of the gate instead of right because of prideful timings, but that's because you can do like a big skip in the Mechagon area if you have a rogue. But in a pug, I would recommend going right like this. So I'm actually going around this pack. People probably don't have CDs, and I want them to have CDs when we fight this. This is another hard magic damage pack. So we're going to go fight this mask solo. This is the Enraged Spirit. I call it the mask because, I mean, you'll see why. There's like a million masks that pop up. There's 2 of these guys total in the dungeon. You need to kill both of them. They're very dangerous. What I'm doing is pulling him way over to this urn. I'll show you more of the cast here in a second. I'm activating this urn. This is the Covenant bonus for this dungeon. Because I'm Night Fae, I'm able to cast that, and it stuns any mob within 30 yards. So the Enraged Spirit is stunned. You can see the urn debuff right there. The icon is an urn. Weirdly enough. Stuns it for 10 seconds and it makes it take 20% more damage. So even though this guy's a lieutenant mob, you can stun it with the urn. And the reason I did that was to stop some of the ticks from his previous rage cast he's doing here. You definitely want to use a bunch of defensive CDs on this guy. Well, your party does. Maybe not you as a tank. And then this is the other cast, the Enraged Masks. You don't actually have to kill these things, you just need to dodge the swirly. So he only got like 3 off there, but there ends up being like masks covering this entire area if he gets the whole cast off. So just be watchful for that. Last time I checked, you could actually knock that guy with engineering, but no other knock currently works to stop his rage cast. These are more of the same mobs. There are no casters on this platform. This is the far south platform. I can't see the minimap because of my advertisement, unfortunately, but this is a pretty good platform to tank. No casters here. All these little raptors do put a disease on you. And then the 2 Risen Warlords are the same big skeleton guys from before. So you can see I already have 4 stacks from the raptors. I think I get another 4 stacks here pretty quick. Yeah, here they go. So they cast the disease on you like every 5 seconds. So I have 8 stacks. I should have dispelled myself at 4. So I'm a monk. Kind of surprising that those little raptors do that. I expected that they would just melee. Did not expect a disease. So I'm pretty forgetful about it. So you can see my HP was ping-ponging pretty hard, but that's purely because of that dot on me, I think. These Risen Warlords hit decently hard too, but not nearly as bad as the magic damage that goes straight through stagger. You can soothe these Warlords. Looks like my Boom can soothe one of them. Either my Boomkin or my Hunter. The other one is guilty of not soothing. So, because this is a pug group, I should have mentioned this earlier, I went all the way around the platform to the south side, and then I'm going to go back up to that platform we were just at up here because of prideful timings this season. So we're going to proc pride on this pull. But it'll make it so that we have the 40% pride on the Hakkar boss, basically. This is the west platform. You can't see the mini-map, but this is the west platform. So I actually CC'd the cultist because it's the other caster in this pack, and I know we're going to hit 20% without having to kill that cultist first. I think this is probably a good play if you have a CC. The notable thing here is that this giant animation that's about to blast out in front of this Death Speaker will knock you off the platform and probably a one-shot on any key level higher than this. So just dodge that frontal and then survive the rest of the magic damage. Interrupt Shadow Core as much as you can too. This is the Shadow Core, hits pretty hard. If you have a Purge or Spell Seal in the group, you can let Death's Embrace go off so they can just purge it. Save a kick for Shadow Core. So you probably need 2 kicks on Shadow Core as you fight this guy. Here's the other Erupting Darkness cast. You can see it kind of winding up and it's about to shoot this way and like a beam about that width. Does get the cast off before he dies. That's fine. So then you can fight this thing with the Pride because I CC'd it. And you can just rotate kicks on this cultist. The same mob as before, just interrupt Scribe as much as you can and let Dark Lotus go off and dodge it. It isn't too bad to pull with this Pride, actually. It wasn't that much extra damage. It doesn't melee very hard. Since I am a Brewmaster Monk, I am saving Touch of Death for the Pride. I use Touch on the first pull, and then I have Touch back up for the 20% Pride. And I'll probably have Touch up for every Pride after. You can see the Scribe hits. Scribe casts are hitting me pretty hard. Here goes Touch. Boom. 47k. Alright, so we're entering the first Trash Wing outside of the inner ring now. This is Hakkar's wing. We have the Hakkar wing, the Mechagon wing, and the Ardenweald wing. There's a couple important mechanics on each of these mobs. So the devoted guys right here have really low health, but all they do is try to transform into a mob that you never want to see. Basically, birds of death. So I just use Sweep to interrupt their devoted sacrifice cast. If you don't have a stun or disrupt yourself as a tank, you may need to coordinate that before you pull in your pug or with your organized group. I put a ring on that guy just to see if it worked yet. They have these Hoodoo Hexers as lieutenants, so don't try to knock them. You gotta purely stop them with kicks. First cast is Hex. I think this guy is spell Q, so sometimes he does not cast Hex first. I think Hex is a magic dispel, it's not a curse. Usually it's a curse if something is called Hex. Healing Wave is a full heal, I believe. You definitely want to kick that. And I think they have one more cast, but I could be wrong. The second pack in here is 2 Deathwalkers and a High Priest. High Priest is another kind of healer mob. He does some other stuff too. The Deathwalkers are basically just bad for melee. Here goes the Blade Storms. You can either just kite it out of melee, they chase the tank down, or you can sweep them once they start the Blade Storm and they'll stop. Sweep or stun, I mean. Or end cap. High Priest casts Smite. Smite's okay, it's not too bad. These guys are actually... Oh, the Deathwalkers also cast a bleed on the tank. That's what was killing me there. I think I got up to 6 stacks. I think they also hit the closest target if you're out of range to the tank. So be careful if you have to kite. So I used Ring to stop those sacrifices. Luckily I hit... If you notice what I did there with Ring, there was a target here, here, and here. Actually, I think the third one was right there, here, and here. So I put the ring, the edge of the ring right here, the middle of the ring I mean, so that every mob went the same way, but the ring also stopped all 3 of their casts. And that's what you want to do with Ring of Peace if you're a monk player. You always want to knock all the mobs the same direction. You don't want to ever put the ring like in between all the mobs and have them end up like here, here, and here, you know? Because then people have to use single stops on the next set of casts, and that's just really hard to do. So the fact that they're all stacked up even tighter after my ring is a good thing. The Devoteds we talked about. I have no idea how she got that DB cast off, but she DB'd them in time, so they didn't transform. And then there's a Hoodoo Hexer in this pack, and that's it. The Deathwalker Spirit you see over here, it happens when the Deathwalker dies. A Purge will kill these instantly. Otherwise, your healer just has to kite until they go away. I think they last like 10 or 15 seconds. This Hoodoo Hexer we've seen before, it was the one patrolling after the first pack. Lightning Discharge goes on a random player. I can't remember if it stuns or not. I think it just does big damage. There's another circle just like that later in the dungeon, which is why I can't remember. But yeah, just keep the Hoodoo Hexer interrupted and you're all set. The last pack is the hardest one by far. Has 2 healer mobs, 1 Hexer, 1 High Priest, and 2 Deathwalkers. So you got the bleeds from the Deathwalkers, the Blade Storms that kill melee players and the tank, and you got a bunch of kicks to worry about as well. Watch your bleeds. Kick as much as you can. I want to say you can assign only 1 kick for the High Priest and 2 for the Hoodoo Hexer, and that might be backwards, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So we kick the heal there. Beam goes out, so we're not going to see some of their spell queue here. But the more you fight these kinds of mobs, the more you can tell like how often they cast certain things, or like what order they typically cast them in. There's usually like 2 options of how they cast spells based on their spell queuing. Healing Wave, really slow cast. Usually a really slow cast is like a humongous heal, so make sure you pick those. Lightning Discharge. I think you can let the Lightning Discharge go if you're out of kicks. And the Hex cast. I think someone can eat the Lightning Discharge with the defensive. So here's the Deathwalker. We proc Pride here. This is why we did that route earlier. So that Pride is procced right before this boss. This boss is going to be tough on Tyrannical. And maybe week 1 with Mythic Zeros too. The Hunter in the group purged the Deathwalker, so our healer didn't have to worry about it. You can't ring a piece or knock or disorient those spirits either. It has to be a purge or kite. So I touched Death Pride there. Shooting me up to DPS levels of DPS, hell yeah. And then here's the first boss, Hakkar. You guys probably recognize this guy from several expansions. It was laggy. But I'll talk about it. So it's a little laggy, but basically this guy puts out a red circle on players. That circle just is a dot on them, but also means if they touch a player that doesn't have it, it'll give them the disease too. Or give them the dot rather. I don't think it's a disease. And the other part of this boss is that he summons ads constantly that fixate random players, so don't worry about getting threat on them. But if you have any utility to bring them to the middle of the boss, then do so. Like if you're a DK, you're heavily advantaged here because you can grip them onto the boss, and people can easily cleave them down. Otherwise, tell your DPS to turn and kill the ads because they do a lot of damage. When they die, move out of their puddles. Their puddles start really big when they die, slowly shrink, and then once they finish shrinking, they respawn the ad afterward. Man, it's really choppy, unfortunate. Skip ahead a little bit. The only other mechanic on this boss is this Blood Barrier cast. He has a shield that he puts up. You actually cannot walk through him during this, interestingly enough. If you try to walk through him, he knocks you back. And he just puts out swirlies all over the ground like this while he does this. You have to break the shield and then kick him to stop the channel. Just like the last boss of Mists. Okay, it looks like my footage went back to being okay after that. That's good. Alright, so after that boss dies, you walk all the way back, unfortunately. Hopefully they add a skip here to where you can just teleport back to the ring, because this is not fun to watch. You just run all the way back through the hallway. Once you enter these gates, it gets a checkpoint. There's actually like 8 checkpoints in this dungeon because of those gates. So whenever you go through them for the first time and then out of them after the boss fight, it activates the next checkpoint. So next time you die, it'll be like if I were to jump off the edge right here, then I would respawn like a couple feet behind where I am now because of that gate. So I'm going to continue to the right now. We already cleared the trash on this next platform, if you remember. This is the south platform I'm about to get to. You can see the other Enraged Spirit patrolling over there. See good old Bwansamdi and Mueh'zala staring at each other in the middle. And then I'm going inside the Mechagon wing. For you BFA players, this will look very familiar as well. There's 2 of these drills total. You probably just want to pull them solo. All they do is melee and then have a massive AoE cast that your whole group needs to LOS. This Haywire cast, make sure you LOS. Marksman Hunters have a nice advantage. They can put down their Resonating Arrow if they're Kyrian and fight it through line of sight. But otherwise, everyone else needs to LOS. You can put like ground effects on the ground next to the guy. Like our mage could flame strike next to it while he LOSs in this case. Otherwise, that guy's not too bad. There's a couple things here. These 4 volatile memories don't give any count, and they just chase you down and blow up eventually. So I usually just put a ring of peace down in front of them, somewhere right here, and wait for them to walk and not worry about them after that. This headless client we see a couple times, and then this dog is a unique mob, mini boss. So I separate them with ring there, just to not have to worry about them. You just want to keep this client kicked. The dog casts this wolf cast, giant circle. This is the circle I was talking about earlier. He casts out on any player in the group, including the tank or healer, and it stuns them. I don't think you should target the tank. Stunning the tank is not cool. And it doesn't appear to be any counterplay to avoiding that. Maybe if you can line it or outrange it as a tank, but it seems unnecessary. So you can see I get stunned here. My boomkin comes in to get stunned with me in solidarity. I tried to paralyze that headless client for science, but because he's mechanical, it did not work. I actually thought you could paralyze mechanical. Maybe I'm wrong. But otherwise, this guy's not too bad. He casts the metallic jaws in the tank, and he puts out the stun. That's it. Metallic jaws hit me for like 1/4 of my health there after stagger. Then we have 3 of these headless clients. This is a pretty dangerous pull for melee, especially because of their spin up cast. You also want to interrupt discharge as best you can. Here's the spin up. I usually stun that. Just like the Bladestorm, if you stun it right after they finish their wind-up cast. Takes care of it. I'm pretty sure discharge is instant magic damage and doesn't leave a debuff because of how badly chunked me there. I could be wrong on that one too, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's kind of like the mech jockeys from Motherload, but you can actually kick it at least. This is the second drill. Same thing as before, just line of sight when he does Haywire here. You can see our Marksman Hunter is doing the tech I was talking about earlier, where you can use Resonating Arrow to hit it through LOS. I did not have it in a great spot. I was getting hit the whole time. So don't be greedy with it. Just put it far in the corner, farther than I did here. I'm playing Night Fae in this video as Monk. You can see the blue animation beneath me. My Alien Stomp. There's a second Haywire cast going on. And yeah, that's about it for this guy. So this next pull, what I'm going to do is there's a gauntlet ahead, and there's 3 of these lubricator mobs that you want to pull back. Pull back at least 2 of them. So we've got the one lubricator right here. It's kind of hard to see. I'll draw arrows. We got one over here. Then we got one in the far back there somewhere. I don't think you can see the nameplate on my screen yet. You got all these slimes that have health bars going this direction. This gauntlet, there's 3 total rows. And then there's also 4 of these volatile memory exploding guys. So I usually just tag the memories and 2 lubricators and pull them back. So if you saw there, I tagged the one on the left that was closest and the one on the right. And then I'm going to roll away to not get blown up by these guys. And then you just fight these 2 lubricators solo. So basically they have 2 sets of casts that you need to watch out for. It takes 2 kicks on each mob, 2 melee kicks, to stop their lubricate casts. And you want to stop those because they make your party miss their spells, and that makes them so if they jump, they get stunned, and everybody jumps playing this game, so you want to stop that. The other is self-cleaning cycle. You saw me cast sweep on. I would personally say stop the self-cleaning cycles with stuns and disrupts, so that you can save kicks for lubricate. Because lubricate does a ton of damage, does all the things I said before, and you just don't have enough kicks to cover 3 casts on each mob. You can see this wasn't too bad, even with a boomkin kick in the group. That actually helps on that pack, I think. And then here's the maze. So this is a gauntlet type thing. Right behind me right here, there's a big red button. If you have engineering on live when this comes out, if you hit that button as an engineer, it takes all these slimes away for the next 30 seconds. Otherwise, you gotta do stuff like we're doing here. And we went kind of slow so I can show. Like our druid cast Vortex up there, stopped some of the slimes for a little bit. There's a Frost Nova to stop them. You don't actually need CC to get through, it just helps. We had a binding shot on that third one, I believe. And I had a ring to one of them as well. This is the third lubricator at the end. I usually just pull this guy solo. It might be okay to pull him into the next 3 slimes, but it's a lot of kicks and a lot of damage, so maybe with a very coordinated group. You can see the cast sequence of this guy a little bit better since there's only one of them. I'm trying to hold Touch of Death so I can go the Pride with it in a little bit. We should proc Pride after this pack as well because of the route we're doing. Which is great, so you get Pride on all 3 wing bosses. You don't really need Pride for the last boss, so having Pride for the other 3 bosses is pretty good for this season. These sentient oils are basically dervishes from Temple of Thralis that cast this essential oil on a random player nearby. At least it's stoppable though. The dervishes were not stoppable. You can stun, interrupt these, knock them. You can do a lot to stop them. However, if you try to run away from them, they grip you back. Those slimes are like Death Knights. Crazy slimes. This is the 60% Pride. If you're new to this affix, this guy ramps up damage over time until he hits 20 stacks. You can see his current stacks are on my frames right there. At 10 right now. Once he reaches 20, he'll stop gaining stacks, but he continues to pulse for that much damage the whole time he's in combat. Then after he dies, he gives the group a buff for 1 minute that gives 30% movement. I'm sorry, 60% movement speed, 30% damage, and 30% more healing, and infinite mana. Very nice. Alright, so this is the last little fuck you to your group mechanic. These oils come out of the wall to the right. There's one right underneath this platform. This whole area is just like a pug killer. So you can see my druid went and got hit by the oil there. The third oil is going in order. There goes my mage too. If you look back, you can see the oils rotating. So just watch out, and they go in the same order every time. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because I think we waited. Alright, so this is the second boss coming up, the Manastorms. Another boss that we've fought many times before, except this time it's Millhouse and Maleficent Manastorm. So you fight Maleficent second, Millhouse first here. Millhouse, the phase of Millhouse is basically like Galv from Temple of Thralis. You just soak the beams that come out. It's on the mage right here at the moment. There's another beam here. And then the big mechanic is you need your DPS to align their arrows with the boss. So 2 people will get picked with arrows. And then they need to go stand on either side of the boss. So here's the mechanic right here. Both of them have this arrow above their head. They stand in a direct line through the boss, and that'll cause Millhouse to get stunned. And once the arrows go away, you can walk out of it a little bit as a tank. You can see she does like the Z animation, and then a second later the spikes actually come up. So you have time to react. It's very important that on this third set of arrows, they do the mechanic right, because they'll channel this diabolical doom cast for a long time and kill your group if he doesn't get stunned. Also, you can tell your party members they can move after they drop the arrows. Like as soon as the arrows go away, they can move out of the animation, or they get hit as well. Try to be in the middle, because as soon as Maleficent comes down, she does not have any kind of threat table yet, so she'll try to kill your healer. Rotate defensives in this phase as well. Try to save defensives for Maleficent. Tell your party members someone needs to run out and just click the bombs. As soon as you run over, you can just click it real quick and go back. The other mechanic she does is she puts a similar kind of arrow out on one of your DPS, and it has a circle around them like this. So they want to stun Maleficent with that, just like we did with Millhouse. So just put the edge of the circle on the boss, but not like, don't like stand directly on the boss so that your tank doesn't get stunned. Yeah, other than that, this boss is pretty straightforward. These buzzsaws do a lot of damage. They stack up to 7 bleeds. And then, this is important too, this is the third bomb I think. I always go get this one as the tank, because she always runs some direction off to the side while a bomb goes the other direction. And then she gives a circle to a DPS, so let's say the circle goes to the mage. I need the mage to be able to be in range of the boss over here because of something important coming up, so I always get this last bomb myself. The circle's on the boomkin, and it needs to stop this aerial rocket chicken cast because it's about to do that much damage to the group, and it'll do that much damage every tick if it's not stunned. So be careful of that one. That's probably going to wipe a lot of groups, I think. Basically, just the last stun from each boss is the important one in each phase. Phases are always the same length, and then the bosses go away at like 20% HP, I think, or 10% HP. Is it 13, 12? Yeah, 10% HP. You actually, another thing I should mention is you want to keep Millhouse alive first time you fight him so that he actually can put out the stun on Maleficent when she's up. Right now, I think it's bugged, but if you kill Millhouse in the first phase, then you just don't have a stun for her the next phase, and you'll probably wipe. So we do the epic run back here, back to the inner ring. As soon as you click this door, you get another checkpoint, same as earlier. So now if you die, you respawn there. And we're gonna mount up and walk across the dungeon one more time. This is the second mask guy, Rage Spirit. I'm just making sure everyone's ready before I pull him in the pug. Once again, just dodge these masks. You don't actually have to kill them. If someone's like in a tight spot, I think they're targetable just so that you can kill them if you need to. Otherwise, some classes can benefit out of having nearby adds for single target damage, like sub-rogues. But yeah, just take him out before he kills the group with rage, basically. So I'm actually coordinating this pull and voice. You can do all these mobs together because there's an urn. But if you're not comfortable using this urn, then I would do these separate. So we got a raptor that does the bleeds, just a guy that melees over here. We have three cultists in this pack. This is a very hard pack. All the cultists do the scribe magic damage cast on the tank and the dark lotus cast that does the little swirly thing on the ground. That. And then we got the death speaker too. He has this giant purple frontal beam all over the party. So I coordinated a kick on the farthest cultist star here, and then I'm going to kick the death speaker so that I can move them closer to the urn. Because again, the urn has something like 30-yard range. I think it'll stun anything within like this range here, so you just need to get the farthest two mobs a little bit closer before you hit it. I'm not going to activate this urn. Damage taken, direct damage interrupts the urn cast, so you can't really do it as a tank in this case. But we're activating it here, so it should go well. There it goes. You can see the debuff on their frames. I think it's actually an 8-second stun, not a 10-second. But they are taking 20% more damage right now because of the urn. So now they're all going to mass cast magic damage on me. Erupting Darkness just went out. Nobody got hit. The Death Speaker just cast the Death's Embrace buff on one of the enemy mobs. It just gives them 100% haste, I believe. That's the purgeable or spell stealable one. I should be dispelling my own disease at the moment, but I'm not. I just missed it. Oh, my healer gets hit by the frontal there and goes down. I think I end up living, but it's a very, very difficult pull because of the 3 cultists. I would actually recommend CCing one of those cultists if you're doing this for the first time as well, just like I did on the other platform. Oh, my Brewmaster's so weak in this video. My Vivifies don't even move my own health. Alright, so this is the last wing, Arden Wield. There's a short gauntlet to get through here as well. This key has a lot of gauntlets to get through. I'm just realizing. Oh, my Boomkin goes down to the gauntlet. Unfortunate. Basically, you can wait in between all those different doorways and just, if you go right after the animation happens in front of you, you're pretty much safe, even without a movement speed increase. So this is Arden Wield wing. There's a lot of trash here. There's something like 50% count in this area alone. So if you're in a coordinated group and you're doing high keys this season, then you can get most of your count here because it's easier, and you can skip all of Mechagon pretty much, or most of the Hakkar wing if you want to. These moths, most of these mobs only have like one mechanic, which makes it a fun place to pull big. So these moths do like a little AoE curse, and I have it for a minute on my frames up here. My font is like wrong right now. It's hard to read, but I have a 50-second curse on me that stacks up every few seconds. You can see I have a cast right here. I have a stack right here. And as soon as I jump, it'll clear all my stacks. So I just got to remember to jump. Similar to the bugs in Lakefall. Can't remember if this curse does damage or not. If it reaches 10 stacks, it puts you to sleep. So I'm at 4 right here. I'm at 5. This is the main thing to watch out for in these packs. I'm at 6. Still haven't jumped. 7. I think I get put to sleep. 8. 9. Yeah, I'm gonna get slept. So I'm asleep right here until I get dispelled. There it goes. So I almost died for that. But I'm glad I can show you what happens at least. The rest of this is not too bad. Oh, an epic grip from my Disc Priest there. That was sick. Surprised the mobs got to me and allowed me to live a little bit longer. Everything is CCable in this pack. The Elder Horns look like a Lieutenant mob, but they're not. Yeah, other than the curse, they just melee and do a lot of damage. So if you need a kite, feel free, but at least you can pull big in this area because they don't have too much going on. This is another Elder Horn pack, and I pulled the 4-pack of Spriggans in front of it. This pack will proc the 80% Pride, so I didn't want to go too big on this one. Be aware that this area has lots of patrols too. There's a couple mobs you definitely don't want to pull. I think we'll see one of these later, but these little hatchlings on the sides are extremely dangerous. They're tiny mobs, but they're very dangerous because they instantly will try to call for help. And they'll summon basically all the birds in this area to come attack you. So especially on bolstering weeks, stay away from those hatchlings. There's 3 hatchlings right here, right on the right as you go in, and there's 2 over here off the screen on the left. And then the other mob you don't want to pull are the 3 matriarchs total. There's 1 matriarch in this far corner. It's pretty easy to avoid. There's 1 matriarch in the left far corner over there. There's another one after the mini boss up here. The normal blade beaks themselves are okay. I'll pull some of those. But you just want to avoid the matriarchs and the hatchlings. You can see the 2 hatchlings over here on the left too while I fight this Pride. If you do end up pulling them, just CC their call for help cast. I think it's like Frightened Cries or something. Stoppable with disorients, knocks, stuns. So as long as everyone's aware of it, it should be okay. So I'm gonna go straight down this path. There is a patrol of birds. I'm gonna pull these. The blade beaks stack up their damage over time. Oh, I'm actually doing a big pull here. I wouldn't recommend this the first time you do this place, but I'm doing it because there's an urn behind me here. We're gonna use the urn for big damage and a big stun on everything. So I grabbed the patrolling birds. I'm gonna grab these 3 Elder Horns. I'm gonna grab 1 invisible pack of Spriggans right here. The Bithresh, the dragon over here, the mini boss. And then I think 1 more invisible pack behind me, and then 1 bird that the urn always hits. So I'm just gonna pull the bird in advance. So here's the invisible pack. I just know where they are by heart. Here's the Elder Horns. I'm gonna tag that 1 bird, grab the invisible guys right here as well, where I was just standing, and then the mini boss. And I told my group to activate the urn as soon as I grabbed the mini boss, because it's gonna get there like everything kind of funneled in at the same time, right? So the stun should go off at right about the right timing here. So we're getting lots of free damage on the group. As soon as everything becomes unstunned, they're going to cast, so I pop a defensive. The dragon does a Wailing Grief cast that pulls everything into it, and then fears a small radius. The circle is hard to see, but it's like that big around the mob. So as long as you get out of it, you're okay. And then I'm just going to kite everything with our utility. A Vortex went out there. I think I called for Binding Shot from the Hunter. I already used Ring of Peace to group them. Otherwise, I would have had it here. There's Binding Shot. These kinds of pulls are very fun. I actually walked into another invisible pack back here. So there was 1 here, 1 invisible pack there, 1 invisible pack here on this circle, and then another one about right here. Slightly off the screen, but pretty close. This is another fear cast from the Mithresh mini boss. Make sure you can get out of that. And yeah, I'm at 200 eye level in this video for reference. These pulls these mobs would kill me if I tanked them for too long, obviously by my health, but I'm just using CC to like give myself some breathing room. There's also a 4th pack of invisible guys just behind where my Boomkin player is right now. I'm actually surprised I didn't pull them. They're pretty close. They're like right there. There's 4 packs total of invisible guys in this area. All right, so that was our big pull that I wanted to do. I put a marker right there so no one walks there and proxy invisible guys. This is like a mixed match of mobs. There's 1 moth, there's 1 spriggan. There's actually 1 hatchling that we have to kill. This is the mob I was talking about earlier that's really dangerous. And another moth up here. I usually just pull these mixed matched mobs without getting the matron over here on the right. The 3rd matron is right there. And then you can see the frightened cries cast going off from the hatchling. I just told the group to kill Skull real quick. I paralyzed that one. I think I sweep this one. Oh, we got Dragon's Breath. Excellent. And then they're doing their AoE Shimmer cast that gives everyone the curse that makes you jump. And the Spriggan Barkbinder just puts up a ER on itself, I believe. Bark Armor, yeah. So you can kick that or you can stun it, disrupt it in some way. And then I would recommend skipping the rest of these birds. We didn't actually need them for count, but I think someone ended up pulling the rest of the Blade Beaks, but not the Matriarch, luckily. Just be careful as you walk past. There's a couple more moths down here. And I think there's 1 more Elderhorn Pat that I pull into. These birds, if you noticed, stack up a debuff over time. It just makes you take more and more damage from their Beak Slice attack. I think it's actually just called Beak Slice, and their cast is also called Beak Slice, so just be careful not to take too many Beak Slices in a row, especially if you have a bunch of stacks. So I'm just pulling the rest of the trash. There is something to note in this little archway. There's more trash in the water down below, but there is an invisible pack of Spriggans here as well. So tell your group to hug right as you come down this ramp to avoid those. They aren't too bad, of course, but if you're already past count like we are, you don't want to pull them. I think this gets pretty crazy. I think someone pulls the Spriggans. My Boomkid's really close right now, so I think he's about to. And we have Pride spawning. We have Binding, luckily, to give me some breathing room, and then here's the Pride. Okay, so yeah, the Boomy pulled the Spriggans when he got to about right there on the ramp. So as long as everyone stays on the main path, like doesn't cross this line, they should be okay. This is good. The X is where you're going to pull the Spriggans. So I have a Crossfire. As soon as my Crossfire goes off, I'm going to go pick up the ads. Dodge my range players Crossfire as well, and then I'm just kiting to survive. I'm telling my group to focus the Pride. The trash is okay if it lives, but the Pride ramps up, so make sure you take care of these Prides first. If you're ever in a pinch like this. Oh, I actually get stunned there. Somehow survive. Pretty good we didn't wipe here. I'm pretty proud of these guys. Not an easy pull to survive. I'm Zen Medding while I'm moving there as long as I can. Remember, if you're a monk player, you get Zen Med rank 2 when you're leveling for Shadowlands, so you can move now when you cast it. The Bark Binders are the last to die, but they're the least lethal mob, so. Alright, this is the hard boss of the dungeon. The last boss is pretty hard too, but this guy is pretty rough. If you're under geared doing Mythic Zeros the first week or doing a Tyrannical Key, this guy's going to kick your ass. There's 2 things to watch out. There's an Arc Lightning debuff that's kind of hard to keep track of if you're new to this fight. And there's traps he puts out on the ground about this big that you'll see shortly. And you use those for the mechanics he does, the traps. But the important thing is the Arc Lightning, so I'll show as soon as he casts it. He puts out traps every few seconds. Looks like the Arc Lightning started on the Hunter. If you have frames that'll show this debuff, you want to keep track of it. It's going to stack up to 4, and as soon as it hits 4 stacks, it's going to transfer to the nearest player. So it looks like my Hunter is right here. So she has 3 stacks right now, and I think it's going to go to our Mage right next to her. Yeah, so you can see the Arc Lightning just transferred. So now the Mage is stacking up 4 stacks. On the side, we also saw the Disc Priest get the bomb mechanic, so he took the trap before the bomb exploded. If you don't take the trap, the bomb hits the whole party for the same damage, so it would have chunked everyone for like half their health, like you could see on the Priest here. But he did the mechanic properly. It's all good. You also take fall damage when you go up in the air currently. I think they're going to fix that eventually, but be aware of the fall damage and counter it in some way if you can. I set up a Transcendence when I go up, typically. You can transcend every other if you're a monk. So I transcended there, so just to avoid some more damage for the group. But yeah, keep track of these Arc Lightning stacks. So when you get the Arc Lightning debuff, try to just look at your frames and avoid the person that still has stacks. So the Mage here definitely wants to avoid giving it back to the Druid, because the Druid will just continue to stack up to like 9 since they have 5 already. And what it does is it makes you take more damage from the debuff. From the Arc Lightning. So yeah, take care of the Arc Lightning cast, survive the bombs. If you're going to get sent in the air with a bomb, make sure you top yourself in some way. Hellstone, Hell Pot, if you have. If you're the healer, watch for that. Whoever gets the bomb, try to top them ASAP. And then there's a nasty overlap right here. So I have the Arc Lightning. I think this is the second time everyone gets sent in the air. This thing is about to transfer. At the same time, we all have to take traps. So we have to coordinate. This person that has the debuff still needs to be far from me, and someone else needs to be close enough to get my debuff while we're in the air. So basically, since I'm going to take this trap, anyone but the hunter needs to be in either this trap or this trap, so they're the closest target. This is a very nasty overlap. So it went on the priest there. I think that actually ends up killing him because of the fall damage. Yeah, he goes down, unfortunately. That's just a nasty one. I hope something gets done to change that for pugs, because I can't see pugs dealing with that well. Yeah, beware of the Arc Lightning and explain how the traps work to your group, and you should be golden. At least this wing gives you some kind of transportation after you kill the boss, because that'd be a really long run. If not, you still have to run through part of it still though. This gauntlet is turned off after you kill the boss. Don't worry about getting hit by the stuff here. And then all we have left is the last boss. So you can fight the last boss on any platform. There's 4 total platforms. We're on the east side of the dungeon right now. And the important part of this boss, to explain to the group at least, is how you're going to handle the portals. So later in the boss fight, he'll summon 4 portals, and everyone has to get inside of a portal before he does his big AoE instant death cast. So I'm putting down markers here. These markers show, not Moon, don't worry about this one. But the rest of the 4 markers show exactly where the portals will be or close to them. You need to assign a 1 DPS to 3 of them. And then usually you want the tank and healer to go to the 4th one. However, since I'm a monk player and I have Touch of Death, I can solo the ad myself. So each player is going to go to their own portal and kill an ad basically, and then click a totem. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But the rest of this fight as a tank, you're going to want to try to survive his big tank buster hits. They're really fast casts, so you kind of have to just do this by experience. Cast one of the tank buster casts like 3 seconds into the fight. I'm going to put out debuffs right here, Cosmic Artifice, and then right after he's about to hit me with the Soul Crusher. It's like a 0.5 second cast. You just need to be super ready, and I hope they increase the cast time on that, because I put up Celestial Brew right before he hit me luckily, but if I hadn't, it'll do full damage. And it puts a debuff on you for like 8 seconds that ticks for however much damage it hit you through mitigation. It's a really interesting debuff. I would recommend opening the dungeon journal and looking at that one. I think it's Soul Crush. So he does this gauntlet style of casts. He does a melee hit that you saw me walk out of right there. He does a giant left platform hit. So you can see his arm is like pulled back. He's about to hit this side of the platform for humongous damage. And then he'll do the other side of the platform as well. So as soon as he does that one, you can move over. That's the Master of Death. Soul Crusher goes out again right after Master of Death. You can see the debuff this time. Since I didn't have a huge shield on, I got the debuff. Has 4 seconds left and it's chunking me for magic damage. This is gonna be a pretty hard boss on high keys too. There's another that third Soul Crush happens the moment the second one ends, so be prepared for these two especially. If you have a long CD like Metamorphosis, I would use it on those two because they're back to back. He does a Master of Death cast here. You get some breathing room. My Soul Crush debuff just fell off. He does these Master of Death casts in different orders too, random order, but he does all three abilities at some point in the order. Just get a melee there, and then hop back into melee about where I'm doing right now, and then he does. Sometimes right there after that second Master of Death, he'll do another tank debuff, but this time I got lucky and high rolled, I guess, only 4 debuffs instead of 5 or whatever. And the Shadow Reality will insta-kill anyone as soon as it gets off. So this is where he summons portals, and everyone has to be ready to run through their portal. You simply have to walk through it, get transferred. And as long as you take the portal before Shadow Reality gets off, then you're golden. And then each player just needs to kill their ad. I'm soloing mine because I'm a Brewmaster, but other tanks may need the healer to come with them to add some damage. Or maybe you have a Holy Paladin healer that can solo one ad, so then you as a tank go with one of your DPS that needs help. So I'm gonna touch of death. I think I probably killed mine first. I can see everyone else fighting their ads here. It's important to hit this statue once you finish before he teleports you back. So you have a limited amount of time here before the boss brings you back to his platform. And as long as you get this Mojo Infusion cast off, then you're good. It is required to kill all 4 of these ads to kill this boss too. If you don't kill them all in one sitting, then you have to go through another main phase. And then everyone can go finish off whatever ads are left after. So you can see here all the Bonsomdi images are just destroying the boss's health. We got 3 out of 4 killed. We didn't quite get all 4. But you can see that we got 3 stacks of this massive haste buff. I think it's like 30% haste per stack. So if you have any CDs that come up again, then you can use them here. But you probably don't have CDs because you just use them on the ad. So this is the same phase as before. He does the Cosmic Artifice, and then he does Soul Crush right after. You can see the super fast cast. I did not get Celestial Brew up in time for that one, so I did get the debuff. Doing the Master of Death combo. Just remember, right after Master of Death, he'll recast the tank Soul Crush again. So you want to pop a defensive right about now. Boom, Soul Crush. 8 seconds of high damage on you. It's very important that you mitigate the initial hit of Soul Crush because that's how the damage is calculated for the rest of the dot. There's a second Soul Crush back to back that we talked about earlier. Wait, did that just get mass dispelled off me? Wait a minute. What just happened? Oh no, that was Shadowman. I think did I dodge that? That might be dodgeable or parryable. I did not know that. I have such low mastery that I guess I just don't dodge it if that's the case most of the time. Anyway, this is the same phase as before. We'll get sent to the. Well, you have to choose which portal. It's kind of hard to tell right now where to go if someone didn't kill their ad. I think I could tell because I don't think that statue over there is lit up. And this portal here goes to that far platform. And that's true regardless of platform you're fighting on. Like the close melee portals would go to the farthest platforms on the left and right. And the portal that's back here on the screen will go to this close platform right here. But it's kind of intuitive in that sense, like the portals go to their respective positions from the platforms. And then after we kill this one ad, then we're done. This phase does do some pulsing damage. It's going to be a hard one on Grievous when you're separated from your healer. Although it didn't seem like it was doing that much damage. Maybe it's been nerfed. So once we click the statue, we just wait out the phase. The boss actually goes to a random platform in the intermission, so he'll port you after a certain amount of time back to him, but if you're close, you can kind of be in position and avoid the teleport. If it's Quaking weak, it has potential to kill the group right as he teleports you if you get Quaking at that moment. Like right now, if we Quaked, we would all die. I hope they fix that, because that's really lame. But yeah, that was all of the other side. Sorry about the laggy Hakkar fight. But if you guys have any questions, let me know about that. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you want to see from me going to the actual expansion now. It releases in 2 days. Super excited about it. Hope you guys enjoy leveling and doing Mythic Zeros. And I'll start making videos again once we're back in Mythic Plus. Till next time.